We're talking Tony Pollard. Is Tony Pollard a top 5 running back in 2023? We're breaking it all down. We're dropping some bold predictions on this live stream. We're taking your phone calls, answering your questions. We're doing it live. Tony Pollard season is in full effect. Wait, before I hit the intro, has anybody seen the Moon Man list ever before? Is Tony Pollard on the Moon Man list?
The Moon Men, dropping loads in outer space.
This looks like Tony Pollard to me. Moon Man season.
Space Monsters.
Moon Man season. The fantasy football show. Tony Pollard edition begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
What is going on, good people? We're talking Tony Pollard. We're talking Tony Pollard. We're talking Tony Pollard. And some more players, some more breakouts. The phone lines are obviously open. Dial in if you would like to ask a question. We'll do quick Q&A until we get through the Tony Pollard section of the show. So if you want to ask a question, I might answer it real quick, hang up on you, and then we'll open up the phone line panel and have you come in and argue whatever point you want to argue. But this guy, Tony Pollard, is an absolute monster in the making. There are some concerns, or you could say red flags, or things to watch out for as we walk into the 2023 fantasy football season. Example, rookie running back being drafted, Bijan Robinson being drafted. Some might say that Bijan Robinson could end up falling all the way to 26 overall, or Jerry Jones will trade up for him at 22, 21, anywhere around this range. It's very possible. And I would venture to say that at the end of the day, I don't think it happens. But with Jerry Jones, he loves explosive, big-name, high-profile players. I don't think Bijan falls to 26, but anything could happen. I think if he did fall to 26, Jerry would take him. But I don't think he'll fall to 26. So it's possible, but I don't think it happens. I don't think it happens. Tony Pollard, if he escapes the NFL draft, and there's no huge big-name player that lands on the roster like Charbonnet, who would be a problem. Bijan would be a problem. Kareem Hunt getting signed to Dallas could be a potential problem, but not as big of a problem as you might think, because Tony Pollard can't carry the ball 22 times on the ground per game. He's not that kind of player. And for anybody that says, oh, Tony Pollard can't be a top 5 running back, Smitty, he's just too small, or he can't endure a full season, or he's not a 340 carry running back, or he can't score 87 touchdowns. Look, this guy is a Alvin Kamara hybrid. This guy is okay, maybe he runs for barely over 1,000 yards. That doesn't mean he's not going to have a top 5 running back season. This guy could pull in. Look at his game log from last year. That's all you got to do is look at his game log from last year. 1,007 yards. Now, granted, we hope he scores or rushes for more yardage than that when he's, not splitting time with Zeke Elliott. And that's the thing. We don't want him to split time with Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott's going to leave. They're releasing him on June 1. Everyone thinks he's released already, but he's not. On June 1, he won't be in the picture anymore. Our hope, though, is that they don't bring in somebody better than Zeke Elliott to replace Zeke Elliott. That's the concern that everybody seems to not be talking about. That is the concern. There is a concern. Could they draft a more hungry, more athletic player than Zeke Elliott to replace Zeke Elliott? Or could they roll with Malik Davis, who's, I think, proven himself as a backup, but Jerry Jones, he might very well want to bring in a bigger name guy. If Kareem Hunt came in, it wouldn't be a good look right away. However, his ADP would drop, so the risk versus reward would still be very much in the I'm smiling ear to ear category when I'm able to draft Tony Pollard in my fantasy football drafts upcoming. But this guy right here, even if he was to just run for 1,000 even, or 1,050 or 1,100 yards, he's going to get you 3 to 5, probably more like 5 to 6 100-yard games. At least 5 to 6 100-yard games with Zeke Elliott out of the picture. 9 to 10 touchdowns on the ground. This 39 receptions will probably turn to something more along 45, 50. He'll probably catch more along the lines of a 450 to 500-yard receiving season and pull in another 2, 3, 4 touchdowns. Anywhere in the 2 to 4 touchdown range. At least 1 or 2 100-yard games. Let's give him one. Let's just give him one. That is a top 5 running back season. 400 plus, 450 receiving, 45 receptions, 1,100 yards, and a total of at least 13, 14 touchdowns by Tony Pollard. Top 5 running back season in the making. And the beautiful part about Tony Pollard right now, the most beautiful aspect of this man right now, is that he's going on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Use promo code Smitty or the link in every video I have, in the description of every video I have. Use promo code Smitty, but your boy Tony Pollard is going at 40 overall. That is in the 4th round. In the first, and 4.1 to 4.4, 4.1 to 4.5 is where Tony Pollard's going. All these concerns you're about to throw at me, if you're a negative Tony Pollard person, you're going to get it shot down because his ADP has all the risk baked in. You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to?
This is Dakota Dave.
Dakota Dave. What can I do for you, Dakota Dave? Appreciate you calling in.
Well, one thing about Pollard, he's going to get a lot more goal line work, even if someone good comes in, because, they had so much loyalty to Zeke, they wanted to give him the TD.
I agree with you, Dakota.
Okay. The other thing I just want to mention, the ESPN mock draft, they've got his projected points really high. So he's going at early 2nd round, late 1st round. So they got him ahead of Walker.
It's so weird because, ESPN is so off. And for the most part, ESPN's off in a good way. This seems to be a bad way. I haven't looked at the mock draft data for Tony Pollard. Are you positive this is redraft mock draft data?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Dakota Dave, forgive me, this is your first time calling. I'm not suggesting that you're not being honest or something, but can someone confirm in the live chat so we can get some double confirmation going here? Again, no offense, Dakota Dave. Are we seeing this on ESPN data? Is he really in the top? Yeah, well, hold on. I'm asking the chat. Are we really seeing this guy fall into the top of round 2 or climb into the top of round 2 and fall into the bottom of round 1? I haven't done any ESPN mock drafts yet. I you know what I use, Dakota Dave? Paid ADP data. Or paid leagues that generate this ADP data because people are paying good money to be in leagues and finish out the entire draft. And his ADP's at 40 overall.
Yeah, well, on ESPN, the default is sorted by projected points. Well, they've also got, their rankings.
Yeah, but so you're saying, but you might be saying two different things, though. Do you know what his actual ADP is on ESPN, though? Or are you just telling?
Don't show
okay, so
they don't have ADP data yet. It just shows zeros for everybody.
Okay, well, I would love to know what his ADP data is on ESPN on an ESPN mock draft, because I think having him projected somewhere, people aren't going to just absolutely follow suit with that, but they will influence the rank a little bit. ESPN is wax is hot. ESPN, yeah, a lot of people look. ESPN's fun to draft in to take advantage of some of the craziness that's going on. Like sometimes you'll have a guy like a guy like Gibbs will go really late on ESPN. A guy like Charbonnet probably goes 2 or 3 rounds later than he does on an underdog draft. So there is some advantage of going into an ESPN paid league and just cleaning it up and just saying, look here, hold my prime, and I'll just draft this monster team. But then occasionally you'll see these weird outliers in the opposite direction. So I wouldn't worry too much about Pollard's ADP or his projection over on ESPN. I don't recommend doing any of that. I don't think ESPN, I think someone said ESPN doesn't even have rookies included yet. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
now
the way I'm looking at this, because my rec league uses ESPN the draft, in August. And I know that people are looking at ESPN rankings and projected points a lot.
Yeah, well, that it sounds like whack data. But not saying that their projection's wrong, but I'm saying it sounds like they don't have rookies, they have players all over the map. I agree that Pollard's going to be this good, but I don't know if this is going off of some of last year's, finish or whatever. I have no idea what ESPN's doing. All I know is ESPN's not consistent or accurate at this point in time as far as what the regular human population is thinking. Now, here, let me say this though. Pollard will climb. And part of the reason I'm doing this video is not to say, oh, let's just, pat ourselves on the back early on and predict that this is going to be a home. This is me saying, warning, hello, attention, this is about to change. Like you might be seeing on ESPN, it's changing because the projections have them moving up and people are very influenced by the suggested rank, which according to what Dakota Dave's saying isn't by ADP, it's by the projection. So somebody at ESPN knows what they're doing if they plugged in good projections for Pollard, but the data's whacked. There's no rookies. It's not even good data yet. So I don't recommend mocking over on ESPN if you want to get a feel of what the regular human population is doing. But my warning shot here today, the reason I'm doing a video focused on Tony Pollard is in normal circles, Dakota, outside of ESPN, Pollard's going so late that it's highway robbery. 40 overall. It won't shock me if Pollard is a bottom of round two guy everywhere once the NFL draft is in the rear view mirror and we start entering June 1. I'd be shocked if Pollard was still in the mid third round and not at the very top of round 3 or at the bottom of round 2. I'd be shocked if Pollard doesn't cost you a late second round pick. So this is a warning sign. This is me, sounding the alarm. You've got a little bit of time to go get Tony Pollard in a lot of places very, very cheap, except for ESPN mock drafts. Dakota, what else you got for me? Anything else on... Where do you project Pollard?
Pollard? Well, I love him. I mean, I had him last year. This was before I followed you. And I got him 10th round last year.
Yeah, bro, he's so good.
And so, of course, I started him every time when Zeke was out, and I used him as a flex even when Zeke was in. And man, I just love the guy. And my goodness, he's up there for me with McCaffrey and Walker.
Yeah, I think he could. He literally, when I say top 5 running back, I held back on the graphic. I started to write top 1 to 5 running back. I'm gonna baby steps on the Pollard content because it's gonna start I'm gonna start ramping up Pollard content. I really am. I think Pollard is so explosive. He's got such an ability to make plays, and with Zeke Elliott out of the picture, I don't think they're gonna have any sort of loyalty to anybody they bring in unless they drafted Bijan, unless they drafted Charbonnet. Then I'd be a little worried. But at the end of the day, assuming he avoids those unlikely scenarios, which would hamper anybody. If Bijan fell onto the Seattle roster, Walker would take a huge hit. It doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter how good the player is. If Bijan lands somewhere and there's a player there, let's say Houston takes him at 12 overall, which is a possibility, then Dameon Pierce, goodbye. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. If the Falcons take Bijan at 8, which I don't think they will at this point, say goodbye to Algier. He's now one of the better handcuffs in the league, but he's been completely destroyed. So, we have that risk, but guess what? Fantasy football is full of risk, and if I'm trying to give the best proactive, ahead of the curve advice I can, I got to make projections and predictions, and there's some risk involved. There's some risk involved that Tony Pollard could have competition that we did not expect, like Kareem Hunt or whatever. We'll take that case by case, each news report that surfaces and whether we buy into it. And then if something bad happens, we'll reassess and recalibrate. But I think only Bijan or Charbonnet would rain on the parade totally. I think if even Kareem Hunt landed in Dallas, which honestly I could see it happening a little bit, but I still think Tony Pollard needs somebody to spell him in between the tackles, and there's a way to play both of them. Like Zeke and Pollard were both on the field. If, let's say, worst case scenario, Kareem Hunt came in, he would be getting, and there's no buzz about that. I don't want to freak anybody out. But if that happened, you can't have this guy. Look at this guy. This guy ran 193 times, 5.2 yards per carry. If you gave him 240 carries, he'd probably average in the 4.7 or 4. He'd probably be less efficient. He wouldn't be as fresh. It's all relative, and you want this guy hovering around 195 to 210 total carries. You don't want more than that. Therefore, because they're going to run, remember, McCarthy, we'll get rid of more. Some red flags with the offense a little bit because they're changing something. Anytime you change a really productive, high-octane offense, you worry a little bit. But they said we want to run the damn ball. That's what McCarthy said. I want to run the damn ball, and that bodes well for if there is a crowded situation that he's going to still get his 195 to 210 total carries. And this receiving number I still think is above 40 receptions.
You're right that it's not going to go up much more than that. According to, I saw something, the Cowboys running back coach said something about Pollard getting tired, that he's a race car. That there was one of the games he had one of those, 60-yard runs or whatever, and he said to him, "I'm done." Afterwards, he was tired. So I think his usage isn't going to necessarily go up much.
I heard that.
But I think he'll get the goal line work, and he could get a lot more TDs.
Yeah, I'd be careful with those kind of reports. That sounds really weak to me. Not from you. Not ripping on you, Dakota. I'm just saying, like, I highly doubt Pollard said to his coaches, "I'm too tired. I'm not playing." Like, I bet you anything that's a botched report. There's no way I buy into that. I've never heard that. I've never heard a single thing about that. And somebody's.
Okay, I was hoping it wasn't true.
I mean, I don't know 100% it's not true, but it sounds totally BS to me. Like, that's something if you were to, because somebody's reporting about it, right? I highly doubt you heard that from Pollard, did he get tired? Maybe he's going to be in better shape this year because he's, I don't know, approaching the situation different. I don't know. Maybe he's lingering with an injury and he was kind of out of shape or something for that moment in time, like that game or whatever. Like, that's what it's going to end up being. Like, if you ask Pollard that, "Hey, do you just quit during games and say, 'I'm done, I'm too tired'?" He would literally probably look at you and say, "What is your problem? What is your problem?" There's no way. There's no way an NFL player like Pollard, who's so dedicated to his craft, is like literally, there's points in games where I'm too tired and I'm just going to quit. It was probably a weird circumstance. And yeah, but again, we don't want him running more than 210 times. He's not that kind of back. You don't want Alvin Kamara in Alvin Kamara's prime. You don't want Alvin Kamara running 300 times in a season. Like, he's a hybrid. And a hybrid workhorse. There is such thing as a hybrid workhorse. Tony Pollard is a hybrid workhorse. We just got to escape the NFL draft. Once that happens, that's when I project his ADP gets that bump, because you know why? A lot of people, and I'm not trying to say that we rule the world here, okay? But there are a lot of people that watch the show, even people that make content. There are a lot of people that make content that don't watch the show that'll have similar opinions here. But once the NFL draft is escaped, once we escape the NFL draft and Tony Pollard isn't in threat of some big name player, there's going to be a lot of people trying to make a splash somewhere, okay? And there are a lot of people that will just be like, "Oh, yeah, now we like Tony Pollard," and it's going to trigger more and more videos. People are going to see it, because once people see you doing it, then this content creator starts doing it, and then all of a sudden everybody's making Tony Pollard videos, and naturally everyone's going to be talking about it. No one wants to take the risk right now. No content creators necessarily, at least a lot of them, don't want to take a risk on it because they don't know. They don't want to look stupid. What if they draft somebody? I don't want to pump Tony Pollard up and then they draft Bijan Robinson. Like, everyone's going to circle back around at the end of it all after the NFL draft and start talking to Pollard. So he's naturally going to climb because he'll be talked about by everybody. It's going to be like, is this guy going to really be a top 5 running back? We've had him on the Moon Man list.
Dropping loads in outer space.
Since the beginning. Like what, January? I mean, and he was a Moon Man last year.
Space Monsters.
So it's not like, you know, we've been cranking this out all. Whoa. Hold on, I got the wrong screen here. Hang tight there, Dakota. Ron Navy, Ron Navy hung up. Ron Navy, drive.
Oh, let me just say that I'm going to post that link. I saved it. You know, about that supposed comment.
Okay.
And just the other quick thing, ESPN, Brees Hall, early 4th round.
Why? How does this make sense? This is why ESPN's like it's a garbage ADP and place to draft, but you can take advantage of it. Are these all mock drafts, or are there actual like leagues you can get in right now where you could draft Brees Hall round 4?
These are mock drafts.
Yeah. So, dude, part of the problem with the mock draft data, just so everybody knows why I don't just promote this Underdog ADP data because they're a sponsor here on the Fantasy Football Show. Although that is partly why, but I wouldn't partner with somebody that I didn't absolutely love and believe in. It's such a good platform. So, Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. But the data that I am provided here, that I always show to you guys, and we're going to do a weekly ADP show. This is the best data in the fantasy industry, in my opinion, because these are people paying $5, $10, $20 a pop to draft. No one's leaving their draft early. No one's drafting 2 rounds and then just bailing, getting in another draft, drafting 2 rounds, bailing. You know what happens when somebody enters in a draft and drafts for 2 rounds and bails? You know what happens? Dakota?
Yeah.
What happens is the ADP data is all computer generated. So if they have Pollard ranked, let's say, too high, and they have Brees Hall too low, and 5 Bobs jump in a draft and leave after round 2 or 3, that data counts because a human being started that draft, right? And because they left, the computer automated autopilot takes over, and that drafts the remainder of the team. And now you have like 40% of the entire ADP data is just the computer autopilot draft piling on the ADP that they're using on top of one another. Whereas here, you have somebody closing out every single draft because they put money in it. And so the data is accurate from top to bottom. But like in an early mock draft, you have these early Edwards out there mock drafting so early that they don't have patience, and they literally leave drafts after the 2nd and 3rd round if it doesn't go their way. That data is horrible. Brees Hall in round 4, Tony Pollard in round 2. It's like one's extreme in a way that I don't like because I love Pollard, and the other is extreme in the other direction because I'm sitting here creating content and videos saying you're gonna win your league if you draft Brees Hall at 3.1 as your first drafted player in round 3. You're absolutely winning. Ron, it's because I can't add you. Hold on one second. Ron, I can't add you because for some reason, some people's phone lines, maybe it's a certain carrier, won't let me put more people on the line when I have them on the line. So we're going to have to kick Dakota in a second. I'm sorry, Dakota. Dakota, hold on. Dakota, hang up. As soon as Ron answers, I want you to call back and then I can add you. So call right back, Dakota.
Oh, okay.
All right, Ron, dial in. Let's add you first and then Dakota. I don't know why that happens with some of your guys' phone lines. I'll have one person on the line and literally like 10 callers, and I can't add any of them until I kick that caller. But 4th round for Brees Hall, 2nd round for Tony Pollard, their ADP makes no sense. It's absolute craziness. Let's go ahead and go to Sam says muted. I don't know what that means, Sam. Hold on. Dakota, you're calling in before Ron Navy, so I can't add you yet. So hold on, Dakota. Let's wait for Ron to dial in. Or anybody to dial in, and then I'll add that person, then we'll add Dakota back. So Dakota, hang tight real quick until we get Ron on the line. Pollard, where would you draft CMC? I'm not drafting Pollard where you would draft CMC. Well, no one's asking you to, I think. That's for sure. But CMC is going in the top 4. Pollard's going even early, if you're talking about ESPN, like 2nd round. So either way, you're not drafting Pollard in that territory of CMC. But yeah, I mean, if you go on ESPN and you're drafting, take advantage of the Breece Hall ADP. Don't take advantage of, don't draft Tony Pollard high. About Breece Hall in the 4th round. Ron, what's up, Ron? Okay, Dakota, hold on. Let me get Dakota back in here. All right, Dakota, I got you on the line. Thanks for calling back. Ron, what can I do for you, Ron?
Hey, what's up, Smitty?
Not much, just laughing at Breece Hall round 4 on ESPN. That's crazy.
No.
Clean up on that.
They don't have the ADPs right in the Superflex, the new Superflex on Underdog. The ADPs are kind of messed up.
Well, you take advantage of it, I guess, until it gets a few hundred drafts to update it. Probably the good thing about Underdog is I believe the ADP updates in within 48 hours. So
yeah, they put all the top quarterbacks, in the top spots. Of course, they did that, but further down, it's messed up, and like players you're used to being able to see, you actually got to search for them. So like if you want to find Fort Wheaton or Scott or Havana, however you pronounce that name, you got to search for them. They don't show up. Well,
that's because when you do Superflex, you have so many quarterbacks going that it makes it less likely those guys are ever getting drafted. So it's actually not messed up. It's just that Wheaton's not getting drafted at all in a Superflex on average, because you're going to have more quarterbacks housed, and then you're going to have less. Those guys that are getting drafted in like around 18, 19, 20 are falling off, and so there's no ADP data on Wheaton at all because he's not getting taken, in a Superflex. And maybe that'll start to change as people search for him and more people grab him. But that makes sense, though. I don't think it's messed up. I just think the ADP data for Superflexes are different.
There's a couple wide receivers that were way off. Like one that was below 1 that just all of a sudden jumped above 1. So I don't know.
Yeah, it'll take a good 48. They just launched it. It'll take a good 48 hours before the ADP data feels super solid. 1 second, Ron. Wild Bill, you're live.
Yes, sir. First of all, I'm very novice at this stuff to begin with, anyway. But I trust you wholeheartedly.
Thank you, pal.
In the little time I've been all through this best ball stuff and everything. That's when I see these other the issue with the ADPs and everything. I go to you. You are the go-to man.
Thank you, Wild Bill.
Yeah, I just don't. It's hard trusting anybody. It's like, oh my God, seriously.
Well, you got to trust yourself first, because I'm gonna miss on stuff. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna like somebody. They're gonna go out and tear an ACL.
Yeah,
but yeah. In general,
holy cow.
But learn to the best fantasy football owners out there are the ones that just learn, improve upon their weaknesses too. Don't just some people say, yeah, I'm not very good at drafting, but I'm great at management. Well, turn into a good drafter, and then you'll be unstoppable. That's why I have on my thefantasyfootballshow.com, I've got a video course section that will be unleashed in April here. And there's going to be courses on how to improve on this, how to improve on that, how to trade. And so on thefantasyfootballshow.com, you can get all that. But yeah, so I appreciate your compliments. What else you got for me today?
No, the whole thing with Tony, the Pollard situation there, it's like, I don't know, how do you feel his psyche's going to be coming back into camp and preseason with that broken leg, though? I mean, does that kind of get in their psyche, be like, can I cut a certain way, or do I dare, or how do they get back into 100%, just confident?
These are professional athletes, man. It's not like you or I going out and trying to run after that. They're out there training with the best trainers. He's going to be far above and beyond confident in his leg, and it's not like it's a torn Achilles or even an ACL.
It was just a fracture, right?
Yeah. So it's it's once he starts, building muscle back up, and he's gonna have some atrophy in it, that. It's gonna be nothing. He'll be cutting like no other. It won't affect his psyche at all. I mean, every player is
That's-
different.
yeah.
You know, some players it could, I
Yeah.
suppose, but like he's not. I have no concerns over Tony Pollard's injury. This is you know, if it was like one of those most gruesome injuries that required like all kinds of plates, and they were like worried about, you know, okay, it broke differently than we've ever seen before. It wasn't
like
any of those
rod and
things.
stuff, you
Yeah, it
know.
wasn't any of those things. Sometimes the bone's stronger. You know, it fuses over. It almost you get some
Yeah.
like scar tissue and all this stuff all over.
My
Like,
son playing soccer, my son got a really bad tib fib, and he had to have a rod and surgery, and he missed the whole basketball season. I felt so bad for him because that was his year, you know.
yeah.
I don't think it's anything to that, you know.
Yeah, don't worry
I don't think
about
Grady
Pollard.
knows.
I mean, as long as we don't hear any kind of setback of some kind, you know, or you know, something didn't heal right, or you know, then we'll obviously have to take a look at it. But no, I'm not worried about it at all. I love the fact that people are worried about it enough that he's falling into 40 overall, except for outside of ESPN. Apparently, ESPN is got him in around.
That's kind of crazy too. Though I'd be like, no, I picked him before that, you know.
Yeah. Let's go real quickly. Hang on the line there. Let's go to Corey. Corey, you're live.
Hey, Spenny, just want to say I never trust ESPN or Yahoo or any average draft position. Pollard, what is his height and weight again?
He is. Let me pull up his exact height weight so I don't misquote it. But he's not. I mean, a lot of people consider him really, really small, but he's not. He's not super small. I mean, Kamara. There's a lot of running backs that have his stature and they're fine. He's 215 pounds. Like he's not a small guy at all. Like 6 foot 215. 6 foot 215. That's not a small guy.
No, so he's quick. My only concern is they're obviously going to bring someone into Dallas, but I mean, I can't imagine that they're going to bring somebody in that would be better than him, but they could. But
you're worried. You got to be worried about Kareem Hunt. You got to be worried about Bijan Robinson falling to 26.
yeah.
Because Jerry Jones would take him. I don't think Bijan's fallen to 26, but stranger things have happened in an NFL draft. You know, and what if something negative gets leaked out about him right before? Like, so many things could happen. But as long as Dallas doesn't get Charbonnet or Gibbs, which I don't think they draft a similar player to Tony Pollard and Gibbs, but let's say they took Charbonnet or Bijan, we'd have some concerns for sure. Especially because we love Charbonnet so much that I don't know what would happen to both of them. Both of them would be hit hard. If they run like McCarthy wants to do, maybe there's room for both of them, but I don't even want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. Malik Willis has kind of proven himself. I think he should be given a shot, but knowing Jerry Jones, knowing that they're trying to fill Zeke's like role a little bit, not just move Malik into it and then fill Malik's role, they might look at Kareem Hunt, but I don't know. I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping that they draft some rookie. And, you know, what if it's like a Kendre Miller or a Bigsby, though? There's some concern a little bit there. But
So you're told that if they take Kendre or Roshan, you still don't think that Pollard would be like 70-30 or?
if they took Roshan or someone, yeah, Pollard's going to get like a unique amount of work. Like looking at his stats from last year, this was sharing carries in a significant way with another running back that was kind of the 1A most of the time. Like Pollard played like the 1A, but they leaned on Zeke like he was the 1A, and he's still at 1,000 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, 39 receptions, 371, and 3 receiving TDs. Even if he got the exact same workload last year, which was not full time, he was an elite running back. Like, so I have no concerns that even if he got 65% of the work, 65, 70, he's gonna be fine. And you don't want him getting 90. You don't want him getting 90. You want him being very active like Kamara in the passing game and pretty active in the running game. You don't want him being the between the tackles sole running back. You don't want that. He'll get hurt. It doesn't mean he's a bad player. It doesn't mean he's injury prone. He's just like Kamara. You don't want to run Kamara 300 times up the gut. And so, yeah, it's gonna be fine. I will reassess if they draft Bijan or Charbonnet. Past that, I think there's nothing that really stands in his way but his own health. Swaggy says 215 is not big. Well, Swaggy, considering the prototypical running back in the NFL is 5'10" to 6 foot, and 220 pounds is thought to be an ideal frame for an NFL running back, 220 to 225. How is this small, Swaggy? This is a pretty decent sized running back. 215 pounds, 6 foot is a decent sized running back. Is he one of the bigger running backs in the NFL? No. Does it constitute a laughing emoji? Absolutely not. All right, let's go over.
They're not all Mike Allstott,
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, but for 6 foot, 215, that's pretty good. I mean, and he's quick.
That's a great weight. I mean, you want him to still be able to run.
Literally, like 5 more pounds, and he's like considered the most perfect weight and size for a running back. So it's like I don't understand.
Right. I mean,
how does that constitute a laughing emoji? Like seriously. Okay, let's go to Ryan. Ryan, you're live. Then we'll go back to Ron.
Smitty.
What's up, Ryan?
What's going on? Hey, question. I know you're not like that high on Tua at all, but if you could look in the future and see 100% that he makes it through the whole season without being hurt, where would you rank him?
Top 6 to 8 quarterback. Yeah, it's not that I don't like him now. I admit in this offense he looks great. He looks great. There's some concern that he got figured out a little bit. A lot of people will say that, and I don't know 100% sure if that's going to be how it plays out or not, but I just don't think he'll stay upright. It's not that I don't like him in that offense, it's that I don't think he'll be healthy. There's just no... The way he's been concussed is very, very... It's easy to tell that he's more prone to concussions than any quarterback in the National Football League. And this report that he is no more at risk of concussions than any other player in the league was the biggest joke of a report I've ever seen in my life. This guy's taking judo classes, I believe it was judo, to learn how to fall so he doesn't get concussions. You don't do that if you're no more likely to get a concussion than the average player in the NFL. What Tua's going through right now is denial. Is there a chance that maybe this long offseason heals his brain in a way that, like, because none of us fully know, but if I was guessing on it and I had to bet on the situation, I would say, unfortunately, it's not that I wish it upon him, that he is going to be easily concussed moving forward. And part of it might have been that he got a concussion while he had a concussion, and that put his brain in a very delicate place that he can never really recover from. Your brain is super delicate, and a concussion is brain damage. Yeah. So, that is brain damage. A concussion is brain damage. So he had brain damage, and they sent him back out onto the field, and while he had brain damage, he got brain damage. So, like, I don't, it's not that I don't like him. There's just a very, very small chance in my mind, in my estimation, and I could be wrong, that he's not going to go out there and get love taps and get concussed, bro, let alone if he takes a big hit. It's one thing to get a concussion when you get helmet to helmet. It's another to get multiple, not even just one, but multiple concussions on your own. Like, you're getting tackled, but your head's hitting the ground and you're getting concussed. That only happens when your head's very vulnerable. You don't just get a concussion every time your head taps the ground. That's what was happening. Right. So, I like him a lot, bro. If he stays upright, he's going to have a nice season because Miami Mike's system is just unbelievable. But I think Mike White starts a handful of games. And we'll see what Mike White does in that offense, too. Mike White, if Tua, I always like to say, if you took Tua, and this is not a rip on the Jets, the current Jets team right now, but if you took Tua and put him in Mike White situations the past, couple years, I don't think Tua would have played as well as Mike White. And I think if you took Mike White and put him in Tua's situation, he would have played at least as good, but probably better. So I think it's the situation more than it is Tua. I like Tua. I'm rooting for Tua. He definitely proved me wrong. I mean, we knew Miami Mike's system might have been that good, but we didn't know. We joked around on the show, Tua goggles. A lot of it was geared toward Tyreek Hill saying he's better than Patrick Mahomes. He's not better than Patrick Mahomes at anything. So that's part of why the Tua goggles came out and why we kind of had a lot of fun with it. But let's be honest, that Miami Mike system is so legit. It's so legit. Whoever's thrown to that track team of a wide receiver crew is going to do well.
Yep.
All right, hang tight. Let's go over to Ron Navy real quick. Ron, anything else?
Hey, are you gonna do some drafts tonight?
Yeah. What is today? Friday? Yeah, I should be. Well, by the way, Underdog has Superflex drafts out, which is awesome because we haven't done a lot of Superflex so far this season on the show. So we're gonna be doing Superflex drafts, and we'll do a Garrett Wilson draft where we Battle of the Moon Men winner gets a signed Garrett Wilson jersey. So we'll do a private draft for that, and then we'll do a Superflex draft in the contest that's on Underdog Fantasy. So yeah, look for that tonight. It might be around midnight or 12:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, this is my last.
how do you-
Today and tomorrow is my last 2 days because Sunday I got to go to bed early because I got the surgery first thing Monday.
Okay, we'll get a couple in. Everybody, prayer emoji for On Navy surgery. They're gonna go and put a
Hey, good luck with that, bro. Good luck.
turn him into Terminator.
Yeah.
Belichick scares me. Swaggy says Mike. I'm not drafting TP anywhere in this second at all. Well, we know you don't like Tony Pollard, Swaggy. You're making that abundantly clear. You don't think he's big enough. You don't think he's able to. I don't know why. It seems like a total Swaggy guy. Doesn't it seem like a guy Swaggy be like, Tony Pollard? I don't know.
Let him get full steam ahead. Let him run full speed and try to tackle him if you think he's small.
Yeah, 250. How do you think 215 is small at 6 foot, bro? Like number one, I'm 6'2" at the quarter or whatever, but I'm trying to get to 6. I'm trying to get to 215. I'm at 216 right now. So I'm at 216. I'm 216. He's shorter than me by 2 inches and some change, and we're the same weight. So that means he's a more bulky guy than I am, and I'm not I'm not cut or toned right now, but I don't know. I don't know how you think that's small. Ramondre should be used way more in my mind, says Mike. Ramondre's he's a tough guy to rank right now because talent-wise and what we saw last year, aside from the end of the year, when it felt like he was falling a little bit out of favor potentially for a couple different things that happened. Doghouse situation, I'm a little worried about that, but I'm not extremely worried. He's such a good receiving back. He is such a good, all-around back. Ramondre he's worthy of talent-wise and upside-wise, the same ADP as, Breece Hall, 3.1. That's home run material for Ramondre Stevenson. But I still feel like there's just a little bit more risk right now, and walking into the draft. I just want to get out of the draft, and I want to escape Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's gonna rain on somebody's parade. I know he's gonna. I want to get through that. Get away from Kareem Hunt. Get away from the NFL draft. And if we are not looking at any kind of red flags, then I think Ramondre Stevenson is gonna be a fantastic.
Where is Kareem Hunt from? Who did he play for?
The Browns. Yeah, he's been in.
So
Cleveland.
he was around Nick Chubb and.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
If you don't remember the beginning of his career, he went to KC, and his very first carry, he fumbled the ball. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, he was a rookie," and then he just went bonkers. And then he was an absolute machine. And then he got into that domestic situation, and then they cut him. And then he got a second chance in Cleveland. He was a top 5. He was a top 5 overall pick. Kareem Hunt was a top 5, top 6 overall pick. Coming out of his rookie year.
So he's a free agent right now?
Yeah, he's older now, so it's not like he's top 5 capable anymore, but he's a top 10 running back if he's in the exact right spot, or at the very least he's a thorn in the side. Yeah, he's a thorn in the side of somebody. That's basically what he is. He's not gonna get a starting job probably, but there's not enough jobs left. Unless he goes to Chicago or he goes to Cincinnati and they cut Mixon, then Kareem Hunt to the moon for 1 year. but he's like a 1 year guy left type of thing. It's got to be the ideal situation. Chicago would be great. Cincinnati would be great. Philly, I don't know. Philly, maybe Philly's not great anymore. They would have been. Now you got Penny there, and I'm not sure how he's going to do. I'm not a big Penny fan, but
You still got Gainwell and Boston Scott there too. So
yeah, and they use multiple backs, and so like I don't know, but Chicago would be interesting.
What worries me about Ramondre is it's the same old thing. Is you got a running back that starts doing really well in New England, and then Belichick brings in another guy, i.e. J-Rob, and then you're expecting something out of Ramondre, and then he starts using J-Rob, and Ramondre is an afterthought. That's what scares me about that whole situation, because Belichick's just so, you don't know where his head's at. You don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Smitty, it's
Who do you think
Dakota.
is more likely?
Go ahead. Who said more than likely what?
Oh, yeah. Who do you think is more likely to draft a running back in like a early round that would matter, like Patriots or Cowboys?
Both of them, because Bill Belichick drafts like 2 or 3 rookie running backs every year, it seems.
Right.
He drafted Ramondre and Damian Harris, and he's always had these rookie running backs on the roster. I think there's another Harris too. I forget what his name was, but he could draft. I can see him. Yeah, I can see him drafting at least one rookie running back. At least one rookie running back. So who's it going to be? Is Sean Tucker going to fall? Is Kendre Miller, who didn't, he was injured, so he's been working out and trying to prove himself now, but he missed the combine, didn't have a pro day. Kendre Miller's completely fallen off the map now, but he's a super talented guy. Like if he went to that situation, I could totally see Kendre Miller in Dallas, in New England or Dallas, and then he's kind of a threat. But I think Tony Pollard holds off all those guys, but he just can't hold off Bijan or Charbonnet. And Kareem Hunt, he probably would hold off to a degree. It might be like a Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard share, but that's okay. I mean, Tony Pollard survived that. And the thing is, if let's say Tony Pollard does face a little bit more competition than we think. Let's say they draft a Bigsby. Let's say they bring in Kareem Hunt. His ADP might fall into the 50s. Like, people take that stuff really hard. So when really in reality you should be wanting Zeke Elliott to return. Everybody should be wanting Zeke Elliott to return. He's getting older. He's not going to threaten anybody, and they're going to start putting Pollard in more and more. And this way you don't have a young, hungry rookie that's wanting more and more touches. So, but it is what it is. Elliott's already gone. Going to be released in June 1. He's considered gone. So they're gonna replace him. I just don't know if they're gonna go with a really late rookie, or are they gonna try and make a splash and go. Let's bring in. Bigsby would be a concern to a degree. Bijan to the Patriots. I don't know JCIM if that's going to happen, but anything can happen. Bijan could go anywhere. He really could, except for like a couple of the locations, that have considered a top 4 or 5 running back. I don't think
he's going to be such an asset wherever he goes.
Yeah, wherever he goes, the person that's there is done. Like you don't take
exactly.
You don't take a guy like that high and then not use him. So
yeah,
if let's say he goes to Washington, by Brian Robinson, I hope he doesn't go to Washington. I don't want him to go to Washington. If he went to Pittsburgh, he won't. But if he went to Pittsburgh, then it's like, how does that work? I mean, both of them get hurt really badly. But Detroit,
Warren won't even get in the game.
Detroit won't take him at 6 now because they got Monty. But if, let's say, Bijan falls to 18, I mean, who's to say they won't be like, we're doing it. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball 700 times. Like, I don't know. I don't know what Tampa Bay could take him. Seattle won't take him. I don't think Seattle would do that. They really like Walker. There's a couple spots that make no sense, but I mean, he could go. Minnesota could take him, and they could, trade Cook. I could see Cook or Cook or Henry or Eckler getting traded on draft day. I could also see the Cardinals trading that number 3 overall pick on draft day. There's going to be a couple big draft day trades.
Did you see that interview with Dennis Allen, Saints head coach, talking about Carr? He said as soon as Oakland benched him, they were looking for ways of how to get Carr there to New Orleans. He was talking up Carr big time.
Yeah. Jared. Hey, Jared, I appreciate you. I'm not trying to run at you too hard on this, but you said we're set at running back. Thanks. Bro, you can't say that about Bijan. Come on, man. Come on. You can't possibly. Well, I don't want him going there, Jared, because I don't want him. I just don't love the situation. And I agree, Sam Howell. If you watch my show at all, you'll know I talk up Sam Howell quite a bit. I like Sam Howell. He's the darkest dark horse quarterback that's either gonna flop or become something that people didn't see coming. I like your quarterback situation, but let's not act like your running back room doesn't need Bijan. That's a little funny. You should be begging for Bijan. You should be hoping he lands to Washington at 16. Brian Robinson, Gibson, those guys don't hold a candle to Bijan. But I don't know.
I know Philly, they got that Gainwell, too. That Gainwell might get more action now that Miles Sanders out of the picture. So
yeah,
he didn't do too bad.
Yeah, Gainwell's good. I still wonder if they go with another RB.
That's what I just see. That's what I'm. I mean, they have what 10 and 30. Is there?
I mean, why not take Gibbs? Why would you not take Jahmyr Gibbs?
I'm like,
Gibbs is.
It's like, dude.
Yeah, Penny who?
Philly's going to be another powerhouse, man.
Penny's nothing. Penny's nothing. He can't stay healthy. He's never stayed healthy ever. He's never even come close to playing a full season. And he's been in the league a while, so that says something. Jahmyr Gibbs, if Jahmyr Gibbs is there at 30, or even Charbonnet, which probably will be, you got to take him. Gibbs is a monster. I don't care if he's 199 pounds. He'll put on at least 6-7 pounds at the college level, lifting weights and becoming a monster. Hey, Ryan dropped off. Ryan, I'm sorry if you had another question. You can dial in. Bijan is going to put good running backs on the bench. Exactly. What's Jared saying now? Brian Robinson and Bijan ? Brian Robinson could hold his water bottle, Jared. I mean, there's uses for Brian Robinson if you draft Bijan. He could spell him. If you think Brian Robinson's a reason not to draft Bijan, Jared, should be used more in my mind. B-Man dropping a super chat. As much as I want the Bears to draft JSN or Bijan, I think they get an offensive lineman. They could. It's pretty much the main move to make. Everyone's saying it. Everyone's talking about it. But if it's me, I draft JSN or Bijan, and I still go after offensive line. I just do it in the different rounds. I think you can coach up offensive line a little bit better, similar to the Jamar Chase debate that I had over and over and over with people. It's like you can't coach up a receiver to become Jamar Chase. You can't coach up a wide receiver to become JSN or Bijan. You can, however, draft a second-round lineman and coach them up to be as good as really anybody in the top 10. It's just all about coaching, too. That's why a lot of offensive lines are great when you don't hear much about them. You don't hear much about how a team's building an offensive line. KC had a horrible situation after they signed Mahomes to a big fat contract, and everyone said that the Chiefs would never sign another player again. Everybody kept making fun of the Chiefs. They're going to have such a bad time with their contracts and pulling people in. No one's going to want to play there. They revamped their offensive line in 1 year, in one offseason, and it was phenomenal. And it was like understated. It was a very understated move. Yeah, there's just a lot of ways of... Jared says, I'm cool drafting Bijan. Okay. It seemed like you weren't, but Jared, you would be lucky to have him, my guy. He would be phenomenal. I'm rooting against it, though, because I don't want him to go to Washington. I think Washington's a little ways away. You guys should be going after Lamar. I do like Sam Howell. I do. If you have to go that route, I think there's a decent shot he impresses, but I think Lamar Jackson would be unbelievable.
You think Howell gets to start over Brissett, or do you think Brissett gets to start in that?
Oh, Howell's going to get the advantage, yeah. Brissett's coming to back him up, but he's a great backup. Brissett's a good backup. But Howell's going to, I think, impress. Howell's going to do pretty well. I think he looked pretty good in the short amount of time we saw him. He looked really good.
He did look good. Yeah.
He's one of those dark horse, Russell Wilson type, and I don't mean Russell Wilson now, but when Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott were unknown.
Diamond in the rough. Yeah.
Yeah, they were unknown, and Dak was right. Dak was pretty easy to see coming. Like, oh, this guy could be something special. And I know a lot of people make fun of both those guys now, but when they came up, they were kind of out of nowhere guys, and I liked both of them before they developed. Thomas says Smitty, Tony Pollard, or Travis Etienne in redraft. Tony Pollard for me. I love both of them, but Tony Pollard's going a little later too. But Tony Pollard to me is a top 5 running back, as stated, in the title of this video.
Hey, Smitty, would you take Kenny Walker over Pollard?
Yeah, oh yeah. Kenny Walker's a steal at 18 to 24 overall. And
okay.
Tony Pollard, I would draft Tony Pollard there if I had to.
I had him last year, and he was great, man. I'm telling you, like, out of the blue, he would just get me like almost 30 points. I'm like, holy cow.
I would draft Tony Pollard. If I had to in the Walker and Breece Hall range, which is 18 to 25, but you don't have to, so I'm not promoting that whatsoever. He's 40 overall, unless you're drafting on ESPN. 40 overall. That is a home run. That's That's 4th round. That's win a league material right there.
Right after Justin Jefferson, you got to take him.
Yeah. Let's go to Dakota. Dakota, you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is I posted those links about the RB coach.
Where'd you post it in the live chat?
In the comment section. Yeah.
It might not let you
and
post this, but I'll look for them.
The second link is the Athletic, by the way. So maybe credible.
Well, but what's it say though exactly? Let me find it out. I'll see if I can find the link. It doesn't let you send links in the live chat.
Yeah.
So let me go look hunting for it.
Smitty, I'm wondering if you think about taking Pollard over Walker. If we haven't seen Pollard on his own as the main back, and all we've seen is Pollard with Zeke. So Pollard, his skill set is as good as Walker's.
Yeah, but would I draft him over? No, because you don't have to. But if he climbed there, I mean, I'm fine with Breece Hall, Walker, Pollard. They're all in the same group to me. They're all super top 5 capable. So yeah, I don't disagree at all. But I love. Let's see here. Tony Pollard said he was tired, done after 30, week 8. Let me read this. There he is. Pollard played a total of 30 plays. Well, I mean, you can't blame the guy in playing 30 plays. I think is his max as far as total play count, because he doesn't have the juice to become the same guy, not as quick.
Well, it's respectable if he knows his limitation to be like, hey, man, I'm at like 90% right now, man. You know, it's like, can anybody step in for a few plays?
Yeah, I'm just reading it real quick. What I'm describing as Pollard's usage is along the lines of what they're talking about. Like, you don't want him running the ball 30 times in a game. You don't want him running 20 plus carries a game. So I don't have a problem with what they're saying. But it's not like it was.
Yeah. I don't either, but I'm thinking, like I said before, he'll still get more goal line opportunities without Zeke there.
I think,
even with the same usage, his fantasy points could go up quite a bit.
Yeah, efficiency's Pollard, the name of Pollard's game. Like, you don't, like I said, I never want him getting 20 plus carries a game, like on the regular. Like one game, an outlier game, sure, but you don't want him averaging like 195 carries, let's say, divided by 17 is 11.4 carries a game. Like, I'm not saying I want him at 10 or 11, but if you give him 15, let's say you give him 14.5 carries a game times 17, that is 246. So I'm not at all concerned about the way that is framed.
No.
Like Tony Pollard, you want getting about 12 to 14 carries a game. You want maybe 13 to 14 carries a game, and you want him to get 4 or 5, 6 receptions. That's where he's going to be efficient. He's going to be explosive. But he'll also be able to carry a little more, whenever he gets into the starting role and becomes, more of a workhorse back, even if it's a hybrid workhorse back. So, he wasn't set up for it as well last year to be able to handle that. But I don't know that that's going to be, they're just going to carry that into this season. Oh, he'll never be able to get more than X number of snaps. I trust Walker to handle the load more than Pollard, says Fantasy Dad. From a workhorse between the tackle perspective, sure. But that makes sense because Pollard's not going to out-touch Walker on the ground. So they're just two different players. But in a PPR format, Pollard's got more value than Walker, potentially. And in a half PPR, they're pretty similar. And in a non-PPR, Walker would then have the advantage. So your scoring matters too because Pollard's going to do a lot of his damage through the air. So scoring matters too.
One thing that I noticed, like last year and maybe the year before, but a lot last year. Did you notice a lot of like the quarterback will go into the shotgun, but then again just hand the ball off? I really didn't care for that.
What are you talking about? For what player?
It's just a lot of them. There was a lot of them that even like Kenny Walker, like Stevenson. Some of these guys, I'd be like, you're setting up for failure here. What are you doing?
I don't know.
If you don't really have a strong,
every system's different. Every system's different.
They would hand them the ball, and they might get back to the line of scrimmage, and they're just smothered. I didn't care for that shotgun handoff thing.
Well, it depends on the system. Some people do it well. Steven.
I know. I mean, every once in a while they would find a hole, or but just I don't know. It's just in my opinion, I didn't care for it.
Steven,
I've never seen them under center and then let the running back get 4 yards of good.
It depends, bro. It depends on the system, the play call, but in general, I don't think it's a problem. It's just who's running, what system we talking about. Steven, you're live on the Fantasy Football Show.
Hey, Smitty, what's going on, my man?
What's up, my guy?
Son, I had a question for you, but if you still want to talk about Tony Pollard, I'd be happy to give you like my thoughts on it.
Let's do both.
All right. Well, I'll start with my question first. So I know that there's been like a lot of talk of like Joe Mixon like getting released. Now, if that actually happens and he does get released, who do you think would actually like pick him up? Because I mean, like, is there any like, are teams gonna like try to rush to go pick this guy up, or does that depend on like whatever's like going on with him or anything?
I don't know. He's in the news a lot, and I know that the last situation he was cleared of, but the situation right before that, the same month or the right weeks prior, he was waving around a weapon and granted there was no charges filed, but like he's not exactly a spring chicken, number one. He's not exactly a player that everybody would love to go get and bring into their locker room. And 30 teams wrote him off. I believe it was 28 to 30 teams wrote him off their draft board going into the NFL draft after his college incident. And so the Bengals were the only team that wanted to bank on him. I'm not saying that teams haven't forgot that. They're like, let's just bring Mixon in. He's been not a model citizen, but he hasn't been a crazy like in the news until recently. But he's been in the news recently. And so, like, do I think a team like Miami would bring him in and he could do well for one more year? Sure. Do I think a team like, I don't think Chicago wants to bring him into the locker room. You never know. Philly. Baltimore would. Buffalo, I don't think so. I mean, they could. Buffalo, Philly, I doubt it. You never know, though.
Think Cameron Bay would bring him in?
They could. I mean, I could see him going somewhere with another player, and then it's confusing to evaluate from a fantasy perspective. But yeah, where I think Bijan goes and redraft Thomas, I mean, he's going in the 7 to 14 overall range, big wide territory. He was going at 7, 8, 9 for a while. Now he's been falling to 14 and 13 and 14, sometimes 15 in underdog fantasy best ball draft. So it just kind of depends, bro. Promo code Smitty. Pollard, did I see Pollard's new tattoo? Yeah, I did, Alex. He got his sleeve down his leg. Callers, drive-through quality audio. Somebody, Steven, talk real quick.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, no, I'm just curious about the guy. That's all.
Oh.
I know that it doesn't look like the situation's gonna be good with the Bengals, and they're looking like they want to upgrade the room. And like I wasn't really like that interested with Joe Mixon anyway. I just figured like by the time like September rolls in, I mean, if that guy just so happens to be on another team, then like maybe like I don't know, maybe try to like kick the tires on him, I guess. And I guess just depending on where he landed, I didn't know if that would be like just like a possibility.
I mean, he could go anywhere. It's tough to say. I gotta fix the audio again. Stupid thing. This stupid phone line. What else is anybody got? Anything else?
Hey, I was just gonna say too. Oh, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say like with that what you guys were talking about with Tony Pollard. He's like, I think that he could be top 5 running back too. I just think it also depends on the situation. I know that like I think Mike McCarthy wants to call plays, and I don't know if like him calling plays, if he's gonna go back to like old school thinking of like how they want to call plays, or because like at least like with Kellen Moore, at least like he was like innovative. Seems like with Mike McCarthy, because he said like when he first took the Dallas job that he really didn't like watch the game even though he was gone. So it seems like he's probably gonna try doing like the same things that he did in Green Bay. I don't know how good the offense is gonna be if he's going to do like old stuff, I guess.
Charles says, why would Hall be a top 5 coming off a torn ACL and meniscus tear? The only person to come back and shine was AD. I mean, bro, it's there's always going to be risk with an ACL recovery, but it's case by case. Everything's case by case. Case by case. Breece Hall had a clean ACL tear. Breece Hall had multiple ligaments. I'm sorry. Breece Hall had a clean ACL tear. Javonte had multiple ligaments. Breece Hall's very, very ahead of schedule. If, let's say, he falls behind schedule, then we'll all have to reassess that. But right now, he was barely 21 years old when he tore it. This is a completely different situation. You have to look at the whole big picture. You can't just say ACL recoveries are all bad. I was totally against drafting Barkley his first year back, and he pretty much busted. Totally against drafting JK his first year back, and he pretty much busted until the end of the year, started showing signs of life. But that's because in both those cases, they weren't ready for week 1. It was clear as day, writing on the wall. Breece Hall's way ahead of schedule. Like, this is a completely different scenario. You can avoid him if you want, and there are rare instances where a guy tears his ACL, but when you're barely 21 years old, you recover so much quicker. It's different than if you're 25, 26 years old. And even though Adrian Peterson was a little older, he was an outlier to an extreme degree. But I have no problem drafting Breece Hall. Unless we hear some sort of setback or that he's falling back behind schedule, which he's not, then we'll reassess that. But I'm telling you, the next thing you're going to hear about Breece Hall is that he looks like he didn't even tear it. But we'll see. It's definitely case by case. Kevin Durant tore his Achilles. If anybody was talking about the ACL, he tore his Achilles. But Achilles injuries are much different for RBs than they are really any position or any sport. Achilles injuries, we've never seen a running back ever become a top 10 or return to a top 10 running back form after an Achilles tear. James Robinson started to rile people up at the beginning of the year. Very frustrating from my perspective, because I knew the way it was going to shake out. But like in the very beginning, James Robinson was used, and he was like dragging his leg and scoring touchdowns, and people were like, "Oh my God, Smitty, he's gonna be a top 10 running back," and he didn't even come close to that. But he was an annoyance. He was a fly. He was a thorn in the side of ETN for the beginning of the year. I can only imagine what ETN would have had statistically at the end of the year had he had a full go at the season. And if this team throws to ETN, I mean, goodness gracious, man.
Hey, Smitty, another guy too that came back from torn ACL and did pretty good was Jamal Charles. Jamal Charles tore his ACL in 2011, and then in 2012 he came back and he actually did pretty good. I mean, he came close to almost rushing for almost 2,000 yards. He had 1,700 yards.
More comparable
when he came back.
More comparable are Jamal Lewis coming into the NFL with a torn ACL and doing what he did. Another very comparable would be Priest Holmes tearing his ACL. Before when you tear your ACL at the very, very beginning of your NFL career or coming into the NFL, your body's in such a more advantageous position to heal quickly, really quickly. So Breece Hall is the first running back in a long time that I can even remember ever becoming in most every one of our eyes a top 3 running back at the National Football League level. Like, he was there, and it was only 4 weeks that we saw it going, and he got injured in week 7. But in week 7, he had 4 carries for 72 yards, I believe, and a touchdown. 4 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown. He was a monster, absolute monster. And so he tore it in week 7, and so 7 weeks in, barely 21 years old. Top 3 running back, considered a top 3 running back at that point. That's just, there's a lot going for him to return to form quicker than the average player. As long as his ACL recovery is good and clean and ahead of schedule, and it is. Pollard over ETN.
Talking about Achilles, not an ACL, right?
You what?
We were talking about Achilles, James Robinson, Achilles, how nobody's ever come back from the Achilles injury, not the ACL injury.
Well, there was 2 conversations going on, but yeah, I mean, someone was mentioning, I think, Durant, or somebody was talking about Achilles and trying to tie Achilles and ACLs together, and they're not even close to the same injury. No. Achilles tears are the death of a running back. Deonta Foreman's the only running back. Deonta Foreman's the only running back that has ever kind of returned from it and been playing consistently since, and it took him forever, and he's still not that great. He's okay. Deonta Foreman's okay. But Achilles tears for a running back, not a Kevin Durant basketball player, not a wide receiver, not a linebacker. Running back. Running back's a very different position than any other position in any other sport, because there's a window that closes, and if a player loses a step, he can't hit the hole. And once you lose that step, it doesn't matter how much knowledge. Like Tom Brady could drop off, but his intelligence, his ability to get smarter might compensate and make him still a better quarterback. Whereas a player that's a running back can be the smartest running back in the National Football League. He could be the best running back, Emmitt Smith, whoever. As soon as you lose the step and you can't hit the hole, as soon as Derrick Henry can't hit that hole anymore, Derrick Henry, who no one can tackle in open field, couldn't win the job for years because he didn't know how to hit the hole. So we've seen Derrick Henry with his massive size and ability and talent not do well when he can't hit the hole. Once he can't hit the hole, it's going to be very painful to watch. It was kind of like when Eddie George fell off, who did have a very long career. But when Eddie George fell off, it was so weird watching Eddie George not be able to he was just running in mud. It was so depressing.
He was awesome.
It was awesome, God, how did that happen? And it's just, it happens like that.
Well, he was great up in the last year too.
Yeah, but Henry was behind DeMarco Murray at first, who was having spectacular year running.
And Deion Lewis. So he couldn't beat out Deion Lewis either. He couldn't beat out Deion Lewis. They were this size difference was like this. There's a lot on that on why there's even some of him talking about he had to learn how to hit the hole and figure out how to do the work behind the line of scrimmage, because he just couldn't get through the hole. It couldn't get to that next level to then unleash that ability he had, which is unbelievable, unmatched. Like Derrick Henry's one of the most exciting running backs to ever play
Plus
the
the
game.
stiff arm, yeah.
Yeah,
he
he was electric, but it took him a long time. He could not do it. It was my first video ever. I played it for you guys. It was my first video ever. Derrick Henry, don't cut him, is what I said. Don't cut him. He's good. Someone asked me, rags to riches, who could go from rags? Because Derrick Henry was a rag. He was a rag. He was barely worth rostering. Rags to riches is Derrick Henry. That was my pick. That was my first Instagram video ever. When I did content and radio for 20 years, but when I did video and I started over 4 years ago, that was my first video, was Derrick Henry, 4 or 5 years ago. And so I like Derrick Henry. I very, very much love Derrick Henry, and he was a big prediction for me. But there's a certain point where I jump ship on a player because, even if I'm a year early, so be it. I don't want to be left holding the bag, especially since I do a lot of Dynasty content too. There's concerns there. Same reason why I'm kind of avoiding Eckler. Eckler could have one more year left. I admit he could have one more year left, but he's 28 years old. And 28, 29, those are really bad years for running backs, traditionally. ETN, there's a lot of ETN and Pollard doubters, which I expect because they both had injuries. They both have had kind of workload concerns. It's hard to trust their situation, so I get it. But it does seem like we got a lot of ETN and Pollard doubt, which makes me think that ultimately their ADP should be held back at least into the third round. I think the whole offseason maybe. Like Pollard will climb. So. Pollard will climb to like 3.1, like where Breece is going. Breece is going at, which is unbelievable. Breece is going at like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Big range, but Breece Hall can be had anywhere in there. I bet you Pollard climbs. He will, because the excitement will build and people will be talking about him, like I said at the beginning of the show. So he'll climb from 40 overall to like 25 or 26. But we might be protected into him not becoming a second rounder on the regular, mainly because there's just so many doubters out there.
Can I say one thing about ETN?
Yeah.
Until he catches balls, he's not going to pass Pollard. And with Coach Peterson or whatever his name is, he always does a two-back offense. So I guarantee you that Jacksonville's going to bring in another running back, and that's why I'm always going to draft Pollard over ETN.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the take because I like both of them, and I'm not going to have a problem with you liking one over the other. I will say that the concern with, and I've had a little bit of concern with ETN in the offseason more than, somebody said you don't talk about ETN a lot. And I was like, there's a reason for that. Yeah, the reason is it is a committee mentality there. But I do know that even in a committee, ETN is not a guy just like Pollard. They're both similar players. They're not guys you want to have 22 carries a game. They're guys you want to have 14 to 15 carries a game and 4, 5, 6 receptions a game. Problem is ETN's not getting those receptions whereas Pollard is. So Pollard is much safer. But my hope is that they do throw the ball more to ETN. My hope is that Trevor Lawrence has a lot to do with that. It doesn't just come, he's got to decide to throw it to him, especially on like when Trevor Lawrence is out there changing things, and navigating the ship by himself, because he's that kind of quarterback. He can call an audible and figure out how to utilize the guy. But ETN's one of, if not top, he's top 5. I think he's a top 5 receiving capable player at the NFL level at the running back position. I think he could be a top 5 receiving back, but he's literally nothing in that category because they don't throw to him. So I hear you. That's my concern. If they threw to him, he'd be top 5. He'd be a top 5 running back lock if they threw to him. So we're hoping they do.
You think the Jaguars, since they're that 1-2 combo, do you think they would be a sneaky place for a running back to get drafted by? in the first
sneaky
round?
and that it pissed us off, yeah. I mean, they certainly could.
Yeah.
Like, what if Charbonnet goes there?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know,
Charbonnet.
I mean, there's that threat. The committee vibe there, that mentality of a committee is very much in play there. So there is concern for Etienne. But Etienne proved in a committee last year, he was in a committee last year, that he did very well, but he just needed to be used in the beginning of the year like he was in the middle. And keep in mind, they trusted Etienne down the stretch. Etienne's like playoff stats were very, very critical numbers, you know, to look at, because that's how they finished the year. And in his last game, didn't he have 100 yards? I want to say in the playoff game.
Can't think of it all.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, he was coming back towards the end of the year, man. He was. I know because people had him against me in fantasy, and I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah, I want to say I have it. I want to say I have it right here. Give me a second.
That Evan Ingram. I'm like, he was getting like 30 points. I'm like, who is this guy? You know, it's like, okay.
Yeah, so did I. And then I was like, oh, he's the guy who busted with the Giants.
Yeah, I'm like, what the heck? You know?
Yeah. Everybody don't want to remember that Evan Ingram with the Giants, that's for sure.
Let me pull up Etienne's playoff
Same
numbers.
as Dallas, though. I mean, what if Dallas brings in another Daryl Johnston? You know, too, a big old. You know, it's like that'd be kind of cool in a way. You know, that way, you know, Pollard could be, you know, like running behind somebody and.
What if they bring in
the
Lenny?
Moose? The Moose, baby.
All right, here's Etienne's playoff stats right here, or the weeks 15 through 20, and just it's impressive enough to say, okay, even if they're giving him committee work, like they ran him a lot. 109 yards in week 19, 109 yards. He had 108 yards on 9 carries in week number 17. He had 83 yards in week 16. He had 103 yards in week 15. He had the 62 and a touchdown the final week against KC. I mean, that's a really impressive rushing
That's awesome.
Game log, you know, for Etienne.
Yeah.
So he finished so strongly. I get the sense that they're not like wanting to 50-50 it, but they certainly want to bring him back to keep him healthy. But keep in mind, he's so efficient, like 9 carries for 108, 12 yards a carry. That's not like an outlier. He has those games, you know. He has those games where he literally could be like Jamal Charles and average 5 to like 7 yards a carry. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. It could be 2nd and 1. He comes in, you give him the ball, and you got a first down. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That would be like, okay.
We were debating this in the chat, Smitty, because I brought it up. So I'm gonna ask you, what if the Lions drafted Bijan and traded away Swift and made it Monty and Bijan?
Monty and what is it? What does it say again?
It would be Monty and Bijan, but the Lions trade away Swift because they don't like him. They don't believe in him.
After 16 touchdowns, they don't like him?
What?
Didn't he have like a bunch of touchdowns this past season?
That was Jamal Williams.
Yeah, it wasn't Swift.
They shipped him off down to New Orleans.
Yeah, Jamal is gone. He was a free agent.
Yeah.
But no, Swift. I don't know if they do that. I don't know that anybody's going to trade for Swift either. He's got kind of tainted value right now.
Yeah, Swift move.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
you
'cause I
never
was
know.
like, well,
I said earlier in the show that guy wouldn't shock me if Detroit took him at 18, because Detroit, they won't take him at their number 6 overall pick. But Detroit, like if Bijan fell to 18, like it wouldn't shock me. I don't think they should, but if they could trade Swift away, I suppose it would make some sense. But
yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of that. I was like, I think that would be the best one too, but then you got to figure out how you would do that handcuff situation if it did happen, and if you could.
All right, boys. Silver says, doing good, Kenny. Hope you're well. Appreciate you being here, Silver. Let's go around the horn here. And let's start with Dakota Dave. Any final thoughts, Dakota Dave?
Yeah, a couple. One, just the ESPN, just so you know, they don't adjust it based on the drafts. It's just like their experts rankings that are just fixed for now and the projected points. So just want to make that.
I don't remember them
comment.
doing that. I remember them having sortable. You could choose which way you want to look at it. But okay, I'll take a look at it. We'll do some ESPN mocks and make fun of it when we get to that point.
Yeah, but at least for now, they don't have the ACC data, so you can do that.
All right, bro.
And the other thing I was just going to say on your Breece Hall videos, there's a real nice new photo of him smiling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to start using that, maybe on a Moon Man list to do a little substitution.
Let's see. Hold on.
Get Breece.
The Moon Men dropping loads in outer space.
I like our. You talking about the Breece Hall photo there?
Yeah.
He looks mean there though. I like it. I don't know.
Yeah, keep the mean face.
He looks mean. I don't like the smile with his braces and everything. Come on, Dakota. What are we running here? We gotta keep him looking tough. He's got a picture with his braces. He's like, no. Gotta make him look like a bulldog. All right.
Right. Okay.
All right. Hey, Dakota. Appreciate you calling anytime, pal.
Okay. Thanks a lot, man.
Corey, final thoughts.
Well, we need to wait till the draft to see what all this happens and how this all pans out. So until that happens, we can all think what we want, but just want to say that. So thanks for everything.
All right, Corey. Appreciate you. Later. Wild Bill, final thoughts.
It's kind of more of a question type. The new best ball thing there. Now, I already use code Smitty for like the big board or whatever. Now does that reset or do you just
You're good now.
Now
You open the app up and you're just gonna look for it's gonna be I think the final. If you go to the main slider on the app and you slide all the way through to the final carousel image of it's Superflex, big board Superflex. That's
right.
That's the only.
I saw that, but now it's not. It's not like they match up to $100.
No, that's only your first deposit. So you got to choose your first deposit wisely.
All right. And then not only that, and I'm new to this, but can I have any guidance on how to do the Superflex versus the other one we just got through?
Yeah, just make sure you draft a quarterback. If you get anything close to a top 5 pick, you don't want to pass on a Fields or above. You got to take that quarterback right out of the gate. If you get a 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, 12 pick, it becomes problematic because you don't want to necessarily force bad quarterbacks.
Right.
You want to try and take advantage of some of the older guys that like Carr and Aaron Rodgers that are falling later. But you have to make sure you're looking at the quarterback overall available board, like when you sort by rankings, to make sure that you're not 20 picks away and there's literally the quarterbacks are flying off the board. You're going to have pretty much, well over 50% of the first 2 rounds will be quarterbacks usually in a super flex.
So kind of concentrate on the quarterback.
Yeah, but be careful not to be passing on Justin Jefferson's and taking Derek Carr's. You got to be you got to be smart about it. And you know what? You're probably going to screw up 1 or 2 of them. That's the nature of them. I know that they're $10, so it's not like you want to just throw $10 down the drain, but you might want to also look at the. I'll have an ADP on it. Maybe we'll pull it up tonight. We'll pull it up tonight. We'll look at it and watch tonight, and then
I'm gonna try a couple.
Yeah, so even if
I'm gonna.
Yeah, do 1 or 2, but tonight we're doing them tonight at about midnight Eastern. So come back. We're doing them tonight at midnight Eastern. Just show up on the channel. I put every announcement that I'm going live on my Instagram, and you should get a notification if you got your notifications turned on here and you're subscribed. But when we go live tonight, we'll work it out. We'll talk it through. We'll be like, hey, in the second round, start going wide receiver and running back here. and then pick it back up maybe when you start seeing like this happen or whatever. So I'll break it down for you.
Okay.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.
All right. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Later, Wild Bill. Steve, let's go to Bruce. I'm so sorry, Bruce. You haven't even said much or anything.
Oh, I'm always quiet.
What can we do for you, Brucey?
But, what do you think? And I left a voicemail. I didn't know if you got to it because I was with my family. What do you think of Bijan going 3 to the Cardinals since their running back room isn't that great?
Let's play these messages here.
Hey, Smitty, what are we thinking of Bijan going to the Cardinals? If the Cardinals trade down, is that a good landing spot for Bijan, Arizona?
And then we got this other message from the Bruce. 15 seconds of what looks like it could be silence.
It could be.
You're muffled.
Oh.
I don't know what's going on there if you're talking to somebody else.
My last question is about Brian Robinson again. What if the Falcons draft him? What if the Falcons draft another running back or this other team that really doesn't need one? I'm naming Atlanta, but it slipped off. The Jets. What if the Jets draft him and make that their new 1-2 combo?
I don't think the Jets are going to draft him. The Jets have they're almost where they need to be. I don't think that's a threat, but you never know, bro. You never know.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, wait a minute, he's going to go to one of these 1-2 punches.
As far as Washington, it's possible. I could see it. Like those running backs in Washington are we got to stick with these guys. Like Brian Robinson looked good. He looked fine. I mean, if they don't go RB, he's pretty exciting. But he's no way, shape, or form. No way, shape, or form a guy's going to hold a team off from drafting Bijan Robinson. So, as for where he's going to go, bro, I don't know. I'm starting to get a little more worried than I was that he could fall past this very, very solid section of there's no bad spots. But in this territory here and then falling to Baltimore, I don't love Baltimore. I don't love, I hate Dallas. So that would be bad. But part of me thinks the Chargers are going to be his if I had to pick right now, I feel like maybe they trade Eckler to Cincinnati and maybe they trade and they draft Bijan at 21, but we'll see. We'll see. I really hope a team steps up and says, screw what everybody's saying. We're going to take Bijan in the top, 12. We're going to show people we don't care about the trends. This is a generational guy. So,
yeah, that's what I was thinking of with the Cardinals. I'm like, they might just draft him at 3 and say, we only have James Conner as our number 1.
Oh, that was the original question. Cardinals. I'm sorry. Cardinals, I would like them to do it, Bruce. I don't think they do it. I think they trade down to do it. You kind of should trade down to do it. There's no way, the worst case scenario, the Falcons take him. I don't see the Lions taking him at 6. They would, if they were going to take him, they wait to 18. So no one's taking Bijan until number 8, unless somebody traded up to take him. But I don't think they would because there's no buzz that he's going earlier than 8. So let's say the Cardinals traded with the Falcons, which is a very decent trade for the Falcons because they could get Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young. So this makes sense. This is kind of my one prediction for the Cardinals that they trade with the Falcons. And then that way you would want the Cardinals to take Bijan there. That would be the good move for the Cardinals. Trade the 3 down to 8, take Bijan, get other draft capital moved up. Boom. That'd be the way to go. I wish they would do it. I don't know that they will. I hope they do it though. I'd love Bijan in Arizona. Then when I buy a Bijan jersey, it's going to be a Cardinal jersey, so it's going to be unbelievable. But I think it's a good location for him too. Ultimately, I do. I don't think it's bad.
Okay. Yeah,
all right.
And with all these. All right, I'll see you tonight, Smitty.
Yep, see you, Brucey. Appreciate you. Steven from Massachusetts,
Yep.
final thoughts. Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah. So I remember that you said that you went to the Suns game. How did you like watching Kevin Durant out there?
He didn't.
I wanted to get.
Took him forever to score. Good? Took him forever to score. He didn't score in the first quarter. He just kept missing and missing. It was pretty depressing at first, and then started getting going. The Suns are so good. Like, even when he's out of the lineup, it doesn't feel like, oh, great. You know, we're not going to be good. We were great without Kevin Durant. So, I mean, the Suns can win. The Suns can win regardless. And Kevin Durant in there, it's going to take some meshing to do. But he started to mesh with the team a little bit. Definitely took him a while to score, though. It was crazy. I was like, come on, man. Get to a game, and Kevin Durant looks pedestrian. It was crazy. But it was a good game. They won. It was, Suns are, the 4 seed right now? It's looking good.
Yeah.
It's looking real good.
Well, I mean, it is wide open. It is wide open, especially out the West. There hasn't really been anybody. That's why. I guess that's why it's been. I know that you do on like a fan, like you do like NFL channel, but it's just as far as like the NBA stuff and everything. It really does look like it's like a wide open thing this year as to like who wins compared to like I'm sure on like years past where it really was like the 2 set teams that was every year. This year really looks like it could be like unexpected and it could go like any other way.
Yep, sure could, bro. I hope the Suns win it though. We gave up a lot for Durant, so
yeah.
All right, Steven.
It would be interesting. Is it?
Sorry, go ahead. One last thing, and then I gotta go.
Your first, I just wanted to ask: is that like your first like time that you ever been to an NBA game, or
no,
you've been to like? Oh, all right.
Yeah, no, I mean I haven't in recent years because I'm so busy with this channel. I don't have last 4 years I haven't done much at all, but stay in my cave here. But no, I used to always go to the games, and mainly the Barkley days, Kevin Johnson days, like all those days I was always at the games. I used to play at America West Arena. I was pretty good at basketball. I used to go down. There was a camp called Futures basketball camp, and it was for college prospect players that were young. They had an age group from like 4th grade to or like 5th grade to high school kids preparing for college. And I used to go and buzz a certain way at the it was America West Arena then. Now it's the Footprint Center or whatever. And I used to buzz down and I'd go down and play on the Suns court underneath the main court. They have like a private court where they practice. And I used to play in there with a bunch of ballers, bro. I was good at ball when I was younger. But I ended up not playing college basketball. I was on the cross country team for about 10 minutes. And I just enjoyed college. I decided not to pursue anything. But it was Suns are gonna win. Suns are gonna win it all. I feel like they're gonna win it all. But hey, I gotta go. Steven, call back tonight. Appreciate you.
No problem, man. I'll talk to you later, man. When you do the draft tonight.
All right, later.
See you, man. You have a good night.
You too, Ron. Final thoughts.
Yep. See you tonight.
All right, Ron. Nothing else?
Nope.
Wow. Ron's quiet today.
Yeah.
You gonna have steak dinner tonight, Ron?
Probably.
How many nights a week do you have steak?
About 3 to 4. But I'm doing
about 8.
Firm, right, so yeah,
about 8 nights a week. You have steak. All right. We'll see you later, Ron.
We'll catch you tonight. Later.
That's funny. Oh, B-Man.
Smitty, in an auction, would you rather have the 4 horsemen, Burrow, Chase, Walker, Hall, or Burrow, Chase, Bijan, and let's say Christian Watson?
Love both of them. And I'll have an alternative to the 4 horsemen on the flip side of probably the middle. So for anybody that doesn't know what the 4 horsemen is.
I give you the 4 horsemen. Jamar Chase, Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, Joe Burrow, all from the 1.1 draft slot. The 4 horsemen ride 4 horses all at one time. Giddy up.
So that's from the one spot. So if we're drafting from this one spot and you take Chase at this 1 pick, we don't have Burrow, but you take Burrow at this 4 pick here. Let me get these guys out of the way. That's the 4 horsemen from this spot, and then you got Kenneth Walker. Let me go ahead and put these here. Walker going in round 2 at the end of round 2, and then Breece Hall going at the top of round 3. So this is the 4 horsemen from the one spot. So we might have just different variations of it. If you're drafting at this, so if we take all this away, and you're drafting over on the, let's say the 111 or the back-to-back 12s, then Bijan's going to be here, and you can do a totally different 4 horsemen, but that will also include Burrow. So I'll go over my 4 horsemen on this side of the draft, and we'll figure out how to best support you from the 11 and 12 spot. All right, appreciate you all. Oh yeah, so let me see here.
Smitty in an auction.
Yeah, B-Man, I'm going to leave you one more message here. You got one more question.
Since we're talking about Tony Pollard, you could probably switch him for Christian Watson. What do you think?
Tony Pollard, Christian Watson? Sure. Yeah, B-Man, I answer your question. I'm sorry I didn't record it here. About 1 hour and 38 minutes into the show, I talk about the 4 horsemen with Bijan instead. And yeah, Christian Watson, Pollard, I love swapping those guys out. That's fine too. I love Paul. Anywhere in the 4th round, Pollard's fire. Thank you, B-Man, for asking that question. I'll see you guys all tonight. If you guys want to leave voicemails on the daily on Instagram, where I play them, you don't have to call in. I just play your voicemails. You got to go to my Instagram profile, click the subscribe button. Appreciate you all. I'll see you all tonight. We're not mock drafting. We're live best ball drafting super flex tonight. Oh, and make sure you get on over to Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. That link is in the description of the video. That link is also, let me pin it right now in the live chat. You'll want to make sure you get on over there and sign up now. It's a $10 minimum over there. They'll match up to $100 in your first deposit. So use your first deposit, make that decision smartly, because if you put 20 in, they'll give you 20. If they put in 100, they'll give you 100. If you put in 10, they'll give you 10. So they'll match up to $100 in your first deposit. Get on over there to Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, and we will be drafting tonight Superflex via the link. Go get it now. Appreciate you all.